Okay, you are the person who made me realize I like boys.
It's a little weird, but we're fairly sincere, actually. If you find a good one. A little too sincere sometimes.
But my actual question is, I'm an actor, equity, SAG, after that jazz. But what was the most deeply fulfilling role that you ever got to play? What really satisfied that like burn in your stomach? What was it?
Macbeth.
Anyway.
He decides to do evil, but the basic idea of the play is that he's a human being from the very beginning to the very end. And human beings sometimes make huge mistakes. And so I got to play the penultimate villain, but not think of him as a villain. Think of him as a loving husband who made the wrong decision. Yeah. That and Torvald in Dollhouse.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone, I argued with the director up and down about this. And I was like, Torvald is not a jerk. Everyone plays him like this jerk. So by the third act, everyone's like, oh, I can't wait till she gets away from this jerk husband. But the reason that Ibsen wrote Dollhouse was that he was lancing all of society. All of society was putting women into such a pigeonhole that they could not breathe. Right? So, to make that point, Torvald should be the best guy in town, the most sensitive, and still put her in a pigeonhole. Then you lance society. And when I did Dollhouse, they all cried. When we finally divorced and said, it's enough, we can't be together, the audience actually cried. Which usually in Dollhouse, they're like, oh, thank God it's over. I don't have to deal with that. It's horrible. Yeah. So, those two.
Thank you so much, that was beautiful.
If you're an actor, I've got one piece of advice. This is my piece of advice for actors. Every human being is interesting enough and beautiful enough to be stared at for a long period of time.
Tell that to my agent.
Yeah. The problem is that most of us actors cover up all of the beautiful weirdness that we have by trying to look cool.
Well, that's good, because I look like a complete nerd.
Oh, you look beautiful.
Was it embarrassing to play Spike before he was a vampire? Like,
when I got the script of what Spike was before he was a vampire, I was like, what the fuck? I assumed that he was a badass before. Like, how could you be such a badass if you weren't a badass before? So my whole thing was he was a badass the whole time. But then, once I started playing him on the set, I got really ferociously defensive of the character. Like, don't you make fun of me. Yeah, I don't know. I really loved him. William is in my heart. And yeah, good luck.
After Angel got his own show, do you think that Spike deserved his own show?
Yeah, you know, one of the network people came up to me and said that when I came on the show, they pressured Josh to say, give him the new show, not Angel, right? And so I went to Josh one time and I was like, hey man, what do you think about, maybe a spin-off? And he's like, oh really, a spin-off of a vampire character? Let's run that one down. Oh, it's called Angel. Like, so yeah, that was the big no.
My question is, would you ever pee on Bones or not?
In a heartbeat. If I could act with David Lawrence again, in a heartbeat. Easy question. Yeah.
My question is actually, it's not actually about any of your past roles. I mean, I love you in all your roles. So far, I'm a big fan. But I heard you were attached to 3 Inches.
Yeah.
The sci-fi.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could maybe tell us about that character.
I rock!
Really? I hear you're working with Tasha again from Torchwood.
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
Yeah. She's fabulous.
She's always trying to get me out for a drink, and I was always like, I gotta rest. You're a young cast, I gotta be beautiful. Yeah, I took a character that was a bit too nice on the page, and I turned him into an ex-CIA op who has murdered a lot of people and sick of it. So I gave him a little bit of danger behind the whole thing. I think it worked really well. I think if Sci-Fi Channel has half a brain, they're going to make a series out of that.
Dude, they made Sharktopus. They got me.
Hello. Good to talk to you. First of all, this is the first time that I've ever actually just seen you as you. Like, I've never seen you at a con before or anything, and I just love that you're such a nerd. Oh,
The President of the United States is a nerd.
It's true.
Rachel Maddow is a nerd. So I can be a nerd too.
And I wanted to ask you, speaking of sci-fi, I wanted to ask you about Caprica, because I'm a huge fan of Caprica. Two questions about Barnabas. Well, actually not about Barnabas, but about the world. If you had access to a holoband, would you use it, and what would you use it to do? And the second question is, since you are a father, when issues like the ones that come up with Barnabas come up, have you ever used that with any character to talk to your kids about certain things, or kind of brought work home to have a conversation?
Television and movies are a great time for you to hit the pause button and start talking to your kids. It's a great, guys, seriously, that pause button is wonderful because they're really interested and you can really bring up issues. But my kids don't care about Buffy at all. They don't care about Caprica. They like Dragon Ball Z and Twilight. Watch Buffy on moral grounds. She has no idea how cool that can be. What was the question?
If you had access to a holoband, would you use it, and what would you use it to do?
I hope that I wouldn't use it. Frankly, when I got the part of Barnabas and I read it, I started to really agree with him. In that we seem in this culture to be on the road that ancient Rome took, toward fulfilling sensation as opposed to intellect, and we are devolving into an orgy. And what I want. Have you ever been to an orgy?
Have you?
Yeah. Don't do it, because it's always the other woman that you end up having.
You're right.
I really think that Caprica is trying to catch a very big fish. I wonder if it will stay on the air because it is so wise. It is making ourselves the thing where if you boil a frog in a thing of water, if you turn it up slowly, it won't jump out. That's where we are on Earth right now. And Caprica is trying to tell us that. And that's a very hard message. How do you tell the world, you are ruining the world? How do you say that? And only sci-fi could say that. Only sci-fi.
Thank you.